Hello, my name is John. I'm the founder of whatifi, and today I'm going to walk you through how to build a scenario in whatifi. In this very simple example, we look at a rent versus buy scenario, and it is Canada specific. We can build scenarios for any country in the world, but we're using Canada here as our example. So let's look at what we're going to be trying to do. We are going to build a scenario where we look at having a bank account balance, a full-time job, and whether we rent or buy. In the rental scenario, we'll take any money that we had in our bank account and invest it. And in the purchase scenario, we'll look at purchasing one of two different houses. One is an $800,000 house with a rental suite, and one is a $500,000 condo. We'll look at mortgage expenses, we'll look at any mortgage insurance, land transfer taxes, and closing costs. And we'll funnel both of these scenarios, the rent and the buy, into an income tax. So let's build this again from scratch. To create a new scenario, click on the New Scenario button in the top left corner. We're going to call this Rent versus Buy Sample 2. You can give this a number of years. We made it 15 years. The inflation rate is by default. You may change this, and you could give this a description if you want to. We also have templates. If you use the template, you can look at what's pre-existing and use those as a starter. We're going to add this. In our scenario, each of these is called an event. We want to add a bank account event next in our stack. By clicking on the event and clicking on the plus sign, we open up our option picker. Our options are sorted by various categories. This list is growing week by week. So let's start by finding a bank account event. We click on the bank account event here. We have automatic integrations with APIs so that your bank accounts will update automatically, but we're going to manually add our bank account for today. We're going to click on the manual event. We're going to call this our savings account. We're going to set it to be a savings account, and we're going to say that we have $85,000 saved up for down payment. We now have that event. Next, we're going to add a job. Also in our basic income events, we can find income. Let's call this full-time job. We're going to say this is a bi-weekly pay, $3,500. Income type is employment. In this particular example, there's myself and my wife. I'm going to pick myself. We are going to say that this starts as effective January 1st, even though that's back in the past. We're going to rank this job as a 4-star opportunity, and we're going to assume that over time our payment will increase. Next thing is our first decision. A decision is a unique event. You won't find the decisions in your basic events here. Instead, it falls under one of our utilities. Here you will pick the decision event, and we're going to call this rent or buy. And we'll add that in. A decision is used anytime you want to create more than one potential sort of branch. In our rent versus buy, let's now add our rent. I want to show you that you can also just drop in placeholders without having to fill out all the details. So you could select rent and say add now and fill later. The red border around the outside tells you there's still missing information. To branch an event, I can click on the actual event itself and click plus, and let's add another decision. And that will now branch off the side. Alternatively, and I will show you this later, you can also insert events between events. So instead of branching, you could see that in series. Houses. Let's look at two houses. We're going to start by adding our house. That's under our residential real estate. This is a $800,000 house. It is a primary residence. It is not newly built. We live in Vancouver. We're going to set the price to be $800,000. We're going to assume that the house is going to appreciate over time, say maybe 5% per year. We're going to have a start date of March 1st, 2021. And this is a pretty great house. We're going to give it a 5-star rating, and we're going to add that to our scenario. Next thing we're going to do is we could branch another house, but you can also copy and paste events. Let's click on this event, click copy, click where we want to branch it from, and click paste. And we now have our second home. And let's edit that. To edit an event, you can click on the edit option here. And let's call this a $500,000 condo instead. We're going to change the price of this to be $500,000, and maybe even assume that it's not going to appreciate quite as much. And likewise, we're also going to say this is a 3-star opportunity for us. It's also March 1st, and update that event. Next, what we want to do, we want to add a rental suite to the $800,000 home. We're going to rent out the basement. Let's add an event. From our basic events, we're going to pick income. Call this a rental suite. Maybe say it is a monthly payment that we can get $1,100 a month for this. It is rental income. Because it's income, it is taxable. So we're going to assign that to myself here. And we're going to say that maybe we have to do some renovations to get ready for this. So while we're moving in March, this is going to be a property that we'll start renting out in July. We are going to give this opportunity 3 stars, and we're also going to assume that's going to go up over time. So we're going to apply inflation to that. So we now have our rental suite. Next, we need to apply a mortgage. A mortgage in Canada is different than in other countries, so there's some unique properties to our mortgage event. From our residential real estate drop-down, we are going to pick a mortgage event, and we're going to add that in. And a mortgage here, we are going to say that our down payment is 15%. In Canada, if you don't put over 20%, you do have to pay mortgage insurance. So we'll see what that calculates like. We're going to call this a 5-year mortgage. Say it is 2.95%. Payment frequency is monthly. We'll just do this by bi-weekly over a 20-year period. And let's add this in. So we now have our mortgage. What we're able to do in whatifi is instead of putting a second mortgage in, we can funnel this event into this event so that all the same calculations are running through, but we're just using different values for the homes. To connect event, click on the event you want to connect from, select connect. It will show you which events you can click into based on the orange border. Select the event that you want to connect to and close that connection. Now, both of these homes are funneling through the mortgage calculation. Let me show you what that looks like. On the right-hand side here, I'm opening up our details panels. This is our thread list manager. It represents every unique path through our canvas. What we're able to do is see the 2 events that are running through our mortgage, and you will notice that the mortgage payment is updating based on what the active thread is, $1,730 or $1,081. Next, let's set an income tax event at the end of this. It's under our Canada specific income tax. This is taxes for myself and tax codes based on British Columbia, and I'm going to add this in. Next, let's connect the rent to the income tax as well. We're going to use the connect function again. Connect and connect. Now, in our other example there, we have a few other events that are missing. I want to show you how to insert something. So one, we're talking about having in our bank account $85,000. So what if we were to invest that instead and continue to rent? We're going to add an investment event. Here I'm clicking on a branch, so I'm inserting in the event. And from our wealth management group, I'm going to pick investments. We're going to call this investment. It is for myself. In this particular world, we're going to make it a capital investment. Initial balance is 0, but we're going to contribute $85,000. It is going to be a one-time payment. We're going to assume a 6.5% appreciation, and we're going to do this on March the 1st. And we're going to fill and add that. So that event is now added in. Noticing that we haven't completed our rent event, let's open that up, click on the edit menu, and fill in the missing information. This is based in Vancouver. It is an apartment, 2 bedrooms. We're paying monthly, It is $14.50 per month. Start date is January 1st. The end date is left open-ended. I'm going to say this is a 2-star opportunity, and we're going to assume that over time that it's going to increase in value, and we're going to add that, and that event is now updated, and the red border is now gone. So let's add in some additional costs that are associated with purchasing a home. Most jurisdictions have a land transfer tax. We're going to pick the land transfer tax event. Let's assume that we are a first-time home buyer and we are not a foreign buyer. We're going to add this event in. Next, we're going to include closing costs. We have some defaults here. We're going to toggle those on, and we're going to add the closing costs. And lastly, we're going to add mortgage insurance. Because this property is under $20,000 in a down payment, we most likely have to add mortgage insurance. This node is specific to Canada, and we have those for all the countries in the world. Let's take a look at our mortgage insurance. In this example, we're going to calculate that. We're going to add it to our mortgage, and we're going to add this in. Let's take a look at what we have so far. We have our bank account, our full-time job, and our rent versus buy decision. We have the rent and the investing, what's left over from our bank account. Or we have houses. We have the house with a rental suite, or we have a condo. Both of those funnel into a mortgage, into a land transfer tax, closing costs, and mortgage insurance, and into an income tax event. So what can we do now? We can open up our thread list manager. We can see our 3 different potential scenarios. We can open up our graph at the bottom here as well. We are showing several different account type calculations. Right now we're displaying the cash flow for this particular scenario, which is the straight out purchase of the condo. We can see the down payment and our monthly average cash flow.